Kia ora. Welcome to a quick overview of navigating the current job market in 2024. You will get some tips and tricks provided by Crew Technology Recruitment. Fun fact, our recent merger with North Island business Potentia now makes us the largest locally owned IT recruitment agency in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Kia ora everyone, introducing Missy and myself who will be taking you through this webinar. So Missy is Christchurch based and specialises in the infrastructure and cloud recruitment here at Crew. So anything within Christchurch or Canterbury, she is your go-to. And hi, my name's Courtney. I'm based down here in Utaputi, Dunedin. I look after Otago Southland infrastructure and cloud recruitment.
So, where do we start? Let's not all get trigger happy on Seek and start with basics first of updating that CV and your cover letter. CV. This doesn't need to go back to your first job at McDonald's and be 7 pages long. Keeping it short, 2 to 3 pages, is just right. The format is simple. Having your name, a short personal summary, technical bullet points, cover off all of those technologies that you're proficient in. Work history. Start with the most recent and ensure you include the months and the years that you were employed there. Education. MS certs are really attractive when applying to other MSPs. Personal interests. Play sport, play the violin, add it in to show you have interests. And sometimes staff from the companies can find common ground with. References. Always add upon request. These aren't needed until you are the preferred candidate. This is optional, but try to avoid any discrimination from the other end by not including a photo, date of birth, or even your residential address, because that's not really needed until you have to actually get to the work. Hot tip. Canva has a lot of resume templates you can choose from. Adding on to this, try not to choose the first one on the page, as chances are it's going to look like everyone else's. Now, your cover letter. Tailor it for the job. Match your skills and experience to the job advert. Research the company. Go on their website, look at their LinkedIn profile, and any mutual connections that you might have. Chat GPT. Okay, so you're welcome to use this as a foundation, but we strongly suggest editing it and tailoring it to sound more like you and not like you've just thrown in the job description and hoped for the best. If not, recruiters and HR can tell one of these a mile away. Also, keep it short. 1 page is ideal with some bullet points of why you're applying those technologies, your skills and experience. Relocation. If the role is advertised in another city, add a mention if you're willing to relocate and whether you've lived there previously or visited for holidays frequently, as this shows that you know the city.
Congratulations, you've made it to the exciting part of the job process, which is the interview stage. Now, interviews can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you haven't been on an interview in a couple of years. So I've put together some tips and tricks for before, during, and after the interview, just so you feel prepared and know what to expect. So before your interview, so number 1 is prepare but don't over prepare. So don't stay up to 3 in the morning going to the depths of the internet researching about the company, but do enough research. So research the company's website. So just go into Trusty or Google, look at the company's website, read about the team, how did the company start, and a good wee trick is go into the news section on Google and type the company's name. Is there any relevant news that's come up about the company? For example, if they won any awards recently, you can go onto LinkedIn, go on the company's website on LinkedIn and have a read through. If they posted any interesting articles recently, or is there any sort of exciting projects maybe that they've just completed or that they're going to undertake? So that's a few weird tips and tricks just to stand out in your interview if you're able to talk to those points and really show them that you are interested in the company. So the next one is who you'll be meeting. So find out who you'll be meeting. Are you going to be meeting a member of HR? Are you going to be meeting, the CIO? Are you going to be meeting, the direct manager, some of the team? If you know who you're meeting, this will help you prepare for your interview. And also go onto LinkedIn. And if you know who you're going to be meeting, go onto their LinkedIn profile and have a bit of a read of their experience. Have they been at the company for long? Have they just joined? Have you got any mutual connections? So have a wee look at their profile on LinkedIn as well. And know the style of the interview. So are you walking into a technical interview, with a panel of 5 different people asking you questions? Are you just meeting the team for a casual coffee, or are you meeting a team of, the HR team and have scenario-based questioning that you have to answer? So knowing the style of interview can help you prepare. For example, preparing for a technical interview, I always encourage people to look at the key technologies that are listed in the position description, and then have examples in your head of your engineering skills in action regarding those specific technologies. If it's meeting the team, this is usually fairly casual, and if you're smiling and engaging, the rest usually takes care of itself. And scenario-based questioning, the STAR method, is really key in helping prepare for these. But also, like, the key tip is going on to ChatGPT and type examples of scenario-based questioning, and that will probably produce you quite a good list of some questions to prepare for. So a hot tip is review the key requirements of the position description and know the 2 to 3 non-negotiables that the client is looking for. So if you know what they're looking for, you can kind of expect what sort of questions they're going to ask. For example, if they're looking for experience on a particular type of project, you know that they'll probably ask questions around this. If they're looking for someone with, exceptional people skills, they might ask, some scenario-based questioning. If they're looking for someone that's got, key skills in a specific technology, read up on that technology. And again, think of examples of your engineering skills in action regarding that technology. Now, all the above, if you work with a recruiter like Missy or I, we will help you prepare, who you'll be meeting, where you're going, what sort of interview to prepare for, what some of the questions they might ask. We will help you prepare for all of that. Now, going to the next stage, so during the interview, a lot of us can seem like common sense, but you'll be surprised. I've worked with people before who, haven't dressed appropriately or have been late, so these points are really key. So the number one is dress code. This is a question I get asked a lot is, how should I dress for the interview? Smart casual is always best. Don't have to turn up in a suit and tie, but don't turn up to the interview in a hoodie or jeans, because first impressions, they do count. You want to make sure, you dress professionally. And the next one is give yourself enough time. So I know parking can be an absolute nightmare around Dunedin at the moment with all the roadworks, and I know that traffic can be a bit hit or miss in Christchurch. So make sure you're giving yourself enough time. It's always better to be early, even if you're early and do, a little bit of light revision in the car before you go into the interview. That's better than being a couple of minutes late, because as I mentioned, first impressions do count. The next is your body language. So try and have open body language. So don't cross your arms or hunch in the interview. Sit up straight when you meet them, shake their hand, look them in the eye. So just being aware of your body language and what you sort of conveying during your interview. The next one, give them a sense of who you are. They're going to want to know who you are as a person. What hobbies, what do you like to do in your weekend? So let your personality sort of shine through. You don't have to tell them your whole life story, but, letting your personality come through in the interview and get them a sense of who you are as a person. As I mentioned previously, usually if you're meeting a team member of HR, they'll quite often ask scenario-based questioning. Now, an example of scenario-based questioning could be like, tell me a time where you had to deal with conflict within the workplace and what did you sort of do to resolve that conflict? Now, the STAR method stands for situation, task, action, result. So it's a really good way of keeping you on track. Make sure you don't ramble. I know some people ramble when they're nervous. I ramble when I'm nervous sometimes as well. So S stands for situation. So what was the situation, that you were presented with? The next one is the task. What was the task? A is action. So what action did you take? And R is result. What was the result of that action? So that's really key on keeping you on track for those specific questions. The next one, which I briefly mentioned before, is demonstrable experience. Now, if you know those 2 to 3 non-negotiables that the client is looking for, have some experiences, in your head of your engineering skills in action that you can talk to, during the interview. If you're unsure how to ask a question, so if you're unsure how to ask a question, maybe they're asking your experience in a specific technology and you don't know. It is okay to say you don't know. An example I always tell people is say, I am actually unsure on that specific technology. I haven't got experience in this, but I have experience in something similar, which is X, Y, Z. So it's okay to say you don't know, but say, but my experience in ABC. So try and give them similar experience you have, but it's okay to say you don't know. The next one is always have questions to ask them. So interviews are two ways, right? So they're interviewing you for the role, but you're also sort of interviewing them in the company to make sure, this is a company and this is a role that you want to work in. So have questions to ask them. This might be about the role. You could ask them questions about themselves, questions about the company. So definitely have at least 3 to 4 good questions to ask them, because at the end of the interview, they'll be like, so any questions for us? So yeah, do make sure you have a couple of them up your sleeve. And the last one is smile and relax. Yes, interviews can be a little bit intimidating, but just try and take a deep breath and smile, and yeah, the rest usually will take care of itself. Oh, now, well done. You've done your interview. So what do you do next? So always thank them for their time, and then ask them what the next steps are in their process. So have they got other people that they're interviewing? Are they looking at making a decision, that day or the next day? It's okay to ask, hey, what are your next steps in your process if they don't tell you? This next one is don't hound them immediately for feedback. Maybe that they are just doing first interviews. Maybe they've got a few other people that day. But it is okay to ask for feedback if you haven't heard back within the outlined time frame. And if you are unsuccessful in the interview, always ask for constructive criticism or feedback, because this is really crucial in helping you prepare for your next interview. If you do work with a recruiter, we follow up with the client directly for feedback after the interview. And if you are unsuccessful, we'll always provide you constructive criticism to learn for next time.
So the big question is, why would you go work with an agency versus applying direct? So there's no rules of working with multiple agencies. However, if you do this, there is a risk of your CV being sent to multiple companies. But we at Crew can promise we will only send you when you give us permission to do so. So working with agencies, straight away we give CV advice if this is needed. If not, then all good. We provide interview preparation and tips for each interview through us. And we have insight into the companies we work with. For example, team culture, projects, specific technologies, and future plans. We also know about employee benefits, which aren't always listed on the website or the adverts. You can skip the online process when working with agencies. Chances are you are sitting in a long list of others who have applied for the same role. Skipping the HR team. So what we can do is get on the phone to the hiring manager and sell you in with a phone call and then send your CV so it's not in line with the others. We can highlight your soft skills, which aren't easily identified on your CV. Salary, let us negotiate this on your behalf. Sometimes it does get a little bit awkward having those conversations, but we do that for you. Now, applying direct. Not all companies can work with agencies for many reasons. So if you can apply direct, then don't miss out and do it. On the other side of this, if you apply direct to a company, then we're unable to represent you with them within 6 months of applying. And this is because we need to allow their HR team to go through their processes. We do encourage reaching out to your recruiter before applying in case we can send you across first with that phone call. Applying direct, usually managed by HR. A lot of HR teams cover entire business recruitment, meaning they don't understand IT roles and the technical skills to look for in candidates. Sometimes, and likewise with agencies, it can be a slower process. If HR are working with multiple roles with different priorities, different hiring managers, different projects, it could take some time to come back to applicants. You're also in a long list of other applications. As mentioned, on the other hand, this is a bonus of working with agencies.
So what are the next steps? So we've outlined some key action points that you can take from this webinar. So the first one is update your LinkedIn. Make sure you have an up-to-date photo on your LinkedIn, but also update your job title. So your job title is up-to-date and relevant. Also add your key skills and responsibilities within that role on your LinkedIn profile. You can also flick an open to work. So this can let recruiters or your network know that you're open to work. I know you guys probably have seen like the green banner that you can put on your profile on LinkedIn. But there's also an option where you can click open to work, but it shows up on the back end of LinkedIn for recruiters like Missy and myself. We can see what roles you're open to and if you're open to being approached about positions. The next one is Google yourself. So sometimes clients will Google candidates they're interviewing. So yeah, Google your name and your location and see what pops up. Make sure your Facebook profiles, are private. Same with your Instagram, social media, and stuff like that. The next one is sell and back yourself. So quite often you'll get asked the question like, why should we hire you? So identify your strengths and own them. Have a little elevator pitch ready, and have those demonstrable examples of your skills to be able to show in interviews, and back yourself. The next one is networking. So start attending some networking events. If you're unsure what ones to attend, feel free to reach out to us and we'll point you in the right direction of some networking events. But this is really good in, building a bit of a support network when you're in the job interview process or the job search process. You never know who you'll meet at an event. Widening your network to potentially some companies and roles you didn't even know about. So the next one is mental health. So it is really tough, the job search process, and it can be grueling. So make sure that you are looking after your mental health. You're being kind to yourself. And if you are struggling, there's a free text number here where you can reach out to someone. And the next one is reaching out to old colleagues as well. So they could be there to support as well and help be a bit of that support network while you're going through this process. They might be in a new company now and, they might have an opening at that company. So reaching out to old colleagues for support as well is key. And if you'd like to have a chat with Missy or I following this webinar, I've attached our details here. So Missy is your go-to for anything Canterbury related, and I'm your go-to for anything Otago Southland related. So if there's anything you'd like clarity on following this webinar, feel free to reach out to us. Or if you are open to work and want some assistance in your job search process, please just give us a buzz. We'd be more than happy to help. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this webinar today. I hope you found it useful. And if you've got any questions, please just let me know.